Scarborough Council. The aim of the programme was to reduce the number of birds around the town and to also cut down on incidents of seagull muggings. Our reporter Mark Blackburn met Councillor Bill Chatt to talk about the progress made.
2017 marks the first year for Scarborough's seagull dispersal programme, and at a cost of £36,000, 499 nests and 852 eggs have been removed from the town. Now, I'm joined now by Cabinet Member for Environmental Health, Bill Chatt. Just tell me how successful this programme has been, because the figures state.
Well, to be honest with you, right, I've been quite pleased. I haven't been a great supporter of the programme when it started, because I thought, well, I didn't want to, hurt animals or get anything like that done. But working with NBC and Steve, who's been our main contact here, it's shown to me that we can disperse or disrupt the animals in their nesting habits and maybe get them to go back to the cliffs, because that's what I initially wanted. The initial programme was £39,000 and they actually came under budget, and that's very important to say that, because it doesn't sound like a lot of money, but it is a lot, because we've been using local labour where possible. So we've created jobs also locally where contracts have been given to local people to do some work, and that saved them money, which has been really good. But they've also done the issue of the days on the beach, where they've gone down to make people aware that seagulls, they are part of the coast. Don't want to change that. But what we do want to do is we want to just say to people, stop feeding them, you know what I mean? They don't need, I've said this before and I always say it, they don't need fish and chips, they don't need burgers, they don't need candy floss. There's a nice sea out there full of resource for them, and for them that's a natural environment. So for us, what we should be saying to them, seagulls need to live on cliffs and they need to eat from the sea. They don't need to eat from the local takeaway. So the first year went through, really pleased with NBC, because they turned around and said that the seagulls themselves, there's been a massive impact. People will probably notice this year there hasn't been as many young around, all right, which is really good. And that's the point where they get aggressive. When they're feeding the young chicks, the parents are getting food to take back to theirs, and if people disturb those, that tends to be where a lot of mugging goes on. Now, moving forward, the first contract was with NBC, but because we're looking to do a slightly longer programme now, we have to go out to consultation, we have to go out to see who's willing to bid for it, so we'll be going into a process to do that. We'll be looking for certain things, like next year we're looking for a bit of an education side of that, so it's going into schools, talking to children, taking maybe some of their orcs in to explain to children what they're doing and what they're trying to do, because I think that's important. It's not just educating the older people, it's educating the young people, because they tend to be the conscience of communities now. They're the ones saying, put your rubbish in the bin, don't just leave it on the floor, right? And I think that I want to go more down that way. And also last year, as a lot of people will remember, we covered Scarborough and Whitby, we didn't cover Filey. Speaking to the company, they said that they think that they could deliver Filey in with the programme for the same price. So we're actually getting better value for money than what we did last year. So we just need to go through that process. But I'm really looking forward to working with them next year, because I think that they've been an outstanding company for us to work with. But as I say, unfortunately, because we've got to go out now for a longer contract, we have to go out to a procurement process, and hopefully, whoever applies for it, we can have the same sort of working relationship with them.
Now, you said that part of the programme is to cut down on seagull muggings. Have you got any statistics that back that up?
Yeah, there has been about, I think there was about 56 in Scarborough and about 20 odd in Whitby, and only one in Filey. But the thing is, one's still too many, you know what I mean? Because in Filey, we haven't been there. I need to get into Filey. I need to make sure that that one becomes a zero, and we reduce as many as we can in Scarborough. We're never going to get rid of seabirds. Seabirds are here forever. But what we do want to do is make sure that when you come to the coast, you enjoy yourself, you have a great day, you don't get left terrified. It's worked so well for me as a person who doesn't believe in harming an animal, you know what I mean? But it's also got to work well for the people who visit for the day, you know what I mean? The people who live here, right? We don't want seagulls being the nightmare they are. NBC is a private company. I do know that they've secured some private contracts to do some work in Scarborough as well, so for them it's been a bonus, and they've been really good to work with. But we need to just continue this at least for 3 years. I was told from the managing director, Steve, that the first year seagulls will think, it's a bad year, I didn't have a nest, you know what I mean? Second year, some of them will move on and think that's enough. Second year, there'll be some really resilient ones will come back. But again, if they're not successful in nesting, they'll probably think, nah, maybe it's not the right place to be. And those who come back the third year, they'll think it's definitely not worth it, because that's all they're here for, is to live and produce more chicks, and they'll look at different places to go. That's what we're on about, is just dispersing them out. We haven't damaged, injured or destroyed any animals, right, because it would be illegal to do so. Once a nest goes from eggs to chicks, they're protected by law. NBC know that, they work with that really well, and that for us has been a real bonus, because I'll be honest with you, I don't support destroying an animal because it's inconvenient to human beings. I believe human beings are our biggest problem here. All right, when they come to the coast, you know, you get your fish and chips, sausage and chips and whatever, and you sit there and the seagull's begging, and people tend to then throw some tidbits down for them. To them, you know, it's all you can eat buffet. I need to just change that, you know what I mean? If people could just remember, bins are an important part of our community. It's not just there for your occasional use, it's there for whenever you've had something. And we do try and maintain that. The bin department Scarborough do a really good job. You know, sometimes bins will get overflowing, but they do get emptied several times a day, so it makes things easier.
Thank you for speaking to us, Ben.
Thank you very much.